friends. YouTube says we are live, so hooray. There's going to be a little bit of background noise for just a moment, but it will go away very shortly. Welcome to 3 on Thursday. Every Thursday we make 3 cards, and in the month of December we are going to do a wow card each day. So let me do a quick review with you of what we've done this month. So we have this fun box fold Z card. We did 2 of those, of course. Well, we did one. I showed you one. And we did this fun ballerina pink top fold card. And then this was the wow sample card. Right, so it's like this. And then this was the wow card that we made in the video. Right, that was the first week of December. And then last week we started with this fracture card. Or maybe we didn't start with that one. We might have started with this one. With the slimline card and the stenciling and the whole magic ink thing. Still just rosy. And then our sample wow card. A fun little pop-up in the center. And then this was the wow card that we made. So now you're caught up for December, because now we are on week 3, and that's today. So let's get started. We have a couple of 2-for-1s today. For a couple different reasons. So hopefully you will like them. And let's start out with the easiest one for the whole night. We're going to use some sapphire ink. We are going to use the stamp that says missing you. Actually, I might change it up. But we are going to use some pink ribbon from my stash. I have no idea where it came from. It might have come from a bag of other things that I got somewhere. And we have pieces everywhere. Alright, so we have some envelopes. There we go. We have 2 envelopes because we're going to get a 2-for-1 out of this. We have 2 card bases. We have 4 pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. 2 for the inside, 2 for the outside. We have some pieces for our envelopes. We have 2 pieces that coordinate with each other, that go all together, that are 3 3/4 by 5. And we have white for our stamping, so if you change a sentiment, it might need to be different. But these are 2 inches by just under 3/4 of an inch. It was a scrap that I had in my bins, and it worked perfectly. And these have 2 pieces that are 7/8 by 2 1/2. Okay, so we have 7/8 by 2 1/2. We have 1 inch by 2 1/2. And then we have some inside pieces that we can use on the inside. So when I cut the paper, there is a chunk of paper that's left over, and I just trimmed that down, and I've used some of them already on the sample cards, and this is what we have left. So we have a couple different options to choose from. We won't use all of them, but so now let's look at the cards. So the first cards, when I cut, I was not paying attention. Well, let me get to that part in just a moment. So we have card number 1, and we have card number 2. Right, so can you see pretty quick how that's a 2-for-1, how we get this? And then of course we have our envelopes. So now let me explain what I was starting to say about when I made my cuts. I was not paying attention. I had my papers stacked like this together, and these two together are too busy, and so I didn't like that, so I just flipped them over, and those two worked perfectly together. So this time I want this flower paper, but I also want this sapphire paper. So when I cut them, I'm going to cut them like this, and we're going to get to that part in just a minute. So let's move some things out of the way so that we can get started. And this card, I'm telling you, so easy to do. So let's do our stamping first so that can dry. The stamp set that we are using is A Friend Like You. So this is still available. It does come with thin cuts, which is fabulous. I have not used these guys nearly as much as I had intended to, but they're super cute. So tons of different sentiments on here. You know what, let's change it to You Are the Best. We're not going to have to change anything else size-wise. So, and this sentiment does actually say missing you, my, and so I just masked off the word my because that was not what I wanted it to say. The best. Perfect. Alright, that is all the stamping for this card. So we'll let those dry over there for right now. And let's put some things together. I had extra white just in case I messed up. Right, as you do. So let's go ahead and do our envelopes next, because, you know, we know. Now, I got this handy tool from Dollar Tree, and it's in the makeup section. It's a silicone, I don't know, scraper brush. It's for your face, but it worked really well, because when I used this earlier, the glue kind of glued out considerably faster than I wanted. So I normally would not have that much glue on here, and I wanted to show you. You could use this and just thin out the glue a little bit. And it works beautifully. Not that it didn't before, but even fewer chances of having any lumps or bumps underneath your paper. Right? And that's always a good thing. You just take it and smooth out. And I actually didn't get enough. I'm still gonna burnish because that's what I do. All right, next you're going to grab a paper trimmer. And which one you use doesn't matter. I found this one at the thrift store actually, and I like how small it is. I wish it was just a smidge bigger, but alright, so what we're going to do, no matter which paper trimmer you use, is you're going to line up your top left and your bottom, let's try that again, your top right with your bottom left on the 1 inch line. And I'm cutting both papers at the same time. You can do that also in the trimmer that you normally see me use, any of the Fisker's slide trimmers, and we're just shoop, right, just like that. Any of the trimmers will work, and then we're just going to swap these over, right? This one's going to go here, this one's going to go here. Voila. All right, to make this easy for us, you know me, I'm going to use some washi. Ready to go. Now my sample cards, of course, are the opposite direction because, like I said, I cut it wrong. My intention is to have this here, but as you can see, it's going to look great no matter which corner you put it on. I would put it on the bottom corner, not a top corner. You can try a top corner. It doesn't look terrible at all. Not at all. Okay, now I'm just going to use my ATG again today because I'm trying to be quick. You do still want to add your glue on both cut edges of the papers. So while we have washi tape, we do still want to put your adhesive on either side of that line. Okay. So bring in two of our pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. These are, I did not cut these down like I set off to do. All right, hold please. Goodness, what am I gonna do with myself? well, hopefully you will have your papers cut correctly so that you do not have to do this. It's the saying that we hated as kids. Do as I say, not as I do. That kind of applies here too. All right, let's add some adhesive on those two sides that we just cut it all off of. All right, let's try this again. Alright, so if you have your pieces cut correctly, the card goes together obviously a little bit faster. But even still, we're not doing too shabby. Now I have both of these pieces because I don't know that one is long enough for both, so I think I'm going to do one card in one color and one card in the other color. So we are going to just cover that diagonal merge of the papers with our ribbon. We're going to bring our washi back in. I actually have these. All right. Just a little bit shorter on that back side. Oh goodness, that moved kind of considerably, didn't it? The whole thing did. What in the world is going on here? Let's try this again. Okay. Much better. And then we will do this side. I don't know about you guys, but like when I get new clothes that has where the tags have ribbon or string to attach them to the garment, I'll actually keep that and add that to my craft stash. Okay, now we're going to add some foam tape. Oh, I actually pre-cut these pieces to make this easier. Pre-cut some of it anyway. We're still going to need to add a few pieces on here, but this makes it go so much faster. Right, because this part is kind of the boring part. And while I try and have stuff done for you guys before the videos, I want you to be able to actually watch the video and follow along. Right, I know that if you're doing that, you're doing it on the replay, and I don't want you to have to stop the video 1,500 times to be able to follow along, you know? Okay. Now to peel these off and add them to our card base. Right, these are fun, so fun. You could really just put a whole bunch of different papers together and cut a bunch of them and mix and match multiples instead of just two like we're doing today. I would not cut more than maybe 3 in your paper trimmer at any time. I mean, unless you have a larger guillotine, then you could, of course, but and that's just my recommendation. You do whatever makes you happy. But you could cut a whole bunch from the same paper pack, and you could have a whole set of cards in almost no time at all. Alright, so we are going to slip this ribbon under. And I do this now because the weight of the card helps when we're trying to tie this knot. Now, it's just a little bit too long. So that's that one. So I would have had enough to do both, but that's okay. It's nice to have a little bit of variety. If you do not like how much the ribbon wiggles on the card, right, because it moves a decent amount, then what you could do is then at this point take some micro glue dots and put them underneath here, and that would really secure that down. All right, so let's bring in our sentiments. We're gonna give them a quick dovetail end, banner cut, dovetail, fishtail. There are so many different tails that this is called. Now, I thought it would be good to have a pop of color. Like this one actually doesn't, I don't think I'll do it on this one, but I might do it on this one just to help the sentiment stand out from the background of the card because it is so busy. And I think I will dovetail it, yes. So I'm just going to center my piece so that I can match this. So I'm going to hold it very still. Ideally, I could just tack it down, but I'm going to use some foam tape, so I didn't want to add yet another step to worry about. So now they match. I'm going to glue this one flat on the card. And I'm lining up with that white base. And then I'm going to come in with that foam tape again. So here's a fun thing. Because I am angle cutting, and because I am doing two, I can do straight on one end, right? Start that, go down to the end for the banner cut, or the angle cut, make that angle cut, and then the angle end should match the opposite piece, or the second piece. Anyway, that's probably not making any sense, but it's a helpful little thing that I do. I will do one side, cut the angle, put the angle on the next piece, and then just move back and forth with the tape. Alright, so those are extra pieces. We'll move those out of the way. Now we need to do our insides. I think one of each, and I think the opposite. That's my thinking. love that they just go together so quickly. And if you didn't want to do the ribbon, you could do shimmer trim or a piece of cardstock, or just do nothing. You don't have to cover that at all. Card's done. Let's finish off our envelopes here. And it goes so quick. And again, the envelopes are not something that you have to do, but I got some glue on that piece. I'm gonna have to go back. Actually, I'll show you guys. So I think probably what happened is some glue seeped out, because I can actually see that right here. And so when I flipped it over to burnish it, it got the glue on the front. So what I'm going to do is grab my glue eraser you can kind of see it turned a little bit white. Well, I guess I can see. I don't know if you can see. And voila. So that is our 2-for-1 card for card number 1. Simple, right? All right, card number 2. This one I could not decide on the paper that I wanted, so I did and cut 2 different papers, so you guys can help me decide what you like better. We're gonna go ahead and do both because it's easy to do both. Well, we might do one because there is some coloring to do. All right, these are our cards. Now it's upside down. How fun, right? So, shake your cards. It's been a hot minute since I made them. I forgot to do the inside, so we will have to do that. But those are the cards. And I did them with the colored pencils. And I do believe I used some from each of the 3 packs. So let's go ahead and make these. So what do we need? Actually, before we go through what we need, let's stamp, because I need one more stamp. I have one stamped, I need 2. So because I'm just using the pencils, I'm just using archival black ink. If I were going to use the markers, I would use intense black ink. All right, so we're gonna let this dry. And let me show you what we have here. So we have, of course, we have 4 card bases. Why do I have 4 card bases? I only need 2 card bases. And we're supposed to have 2 envelopes. Apparently I grabbed 2 cards and then 2 more cards instead of envelopes. So 2 card bases, 2 envelopes. And then we have, let's go from the other side. Black and acorn. We have 4 by 5 1/4. Both of these papers are from the pack that I can never remember the name. Evergreen. All right. And these are the patterns. So we have the music, and then the dark leaves, and then black and acorn again. 3 by 4. Wait, I didn't tell you the size of these ones. So these pieces are 3 3/4 by 5. 3 3/4 by 5. For real this time. Okay. These are 3 by 4. This one is French vanilla. This one is white daisy. These are 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. Okay. You will also need scrap pieces of your neutral, your white. So we have 1 French vanilla and we have 1 white daisy. Okay. You are also going to need 2 pieces of white daisy for the inside. And I don't have why don't I have is the letter question. Is that going to be wide enough? Of course that's not going to be wide enough. Do a quick 1/2 inch. Okay. Those are for the insides. So let's go ahead and glue the insides since we're right here already. I did not continue on with what else we're using, so I do apologize. And I do think that was the end of that roll. Of course it was, because why wouldn't it be? All right. Let's glue these down, and then while I am fixing that, I will talk to you about what else we're using. I'm going to go ahead and put these right here. So, excuse me, you saw me use that those shaker, oh my goodness, the foam. Wow. The last couple weeks to use in the on the back sides of cards and stuff, because there are a few pieces that are larger, and so today we're actually going to use it for its actual purpose. move this so that you can see in case you need to reference this later for your own self. But we are going to use the acetate, which we actually are using the middle acetate, but I'm cutting it in half because that makes it just barely big enough. The small was just slightly too small. And then we're going to use some of the foam itself, of course. And then, of course, the December stamp of the month, because we have just over a week left of that. Okay, so for your tape, if you're redoing this, you want your tape to start out like this. Okay, we're going to put that on the front one and push it down until it's all the way down. I do have a shim that I created, and this is 3 sheets of cardstock just glued together with, of course, liquid glass, because that gives you the strength that you need for this, and we've talked about that in the past as well. And this part, right, this part moves, and so we're going to put it on this part and then slip it over that part, and it does kind of nick it a little bit, so I try to move that spot each time, so it's a nice good solid grasp. Okay, so now we're going to grab this, we're going to go over and under, and we're going to push our trigger because we have to let it roll. And you're going to pull it until your words stop, essentially. Okay. Generally speaking, there are always words at the start of your refill. I have not seen one from any brand, and I've seen a few that do not have the words on there. Alright, so you're going to pull it back up so it lines up again up here. And you're going to come around over here, and there's a little upside down T, and you're going to thread it like this. Okay? And sometimes this will be sticky here, which will be great because then you can stick it right there. And then you just twist until tight. Then you're going to put your little guard piece back on. And obviously twist to close, and voila, you are done. All right, so let's oh, the other thing is this stamp set has thin cuts. Where did So each of the snow globes has a thin cut piece, so that makes it super easy, especially to do the technique that we are going to do today. Alright, I'll move this out of the way. So we're going to go ahead and grab these right now. So we want the 2 smaller pieces, and we are just going to do a quick tack spot on here, and we're going to line up our pieces, and then we're going to center the die, use a small piece of washi to hold that in place. And then we're going to run that through our die machine, our die cutting machine, rather. So this is probably going to be blurry. I do apologize, but I only have so much space. want to be careful when you pull off your washi, because you need to use that piece. Alright, and then again on the other side. Well, not other side, other piece. And that is all the die cutting that we are doing for the whole rest of the night. Alright, I'll worry about that later. And we aren't going to use these pieces, but go ahead and keep them with your stamp set so that you can use them another time. Okay, so next step. We are going to take our pieces. So this was one larger piece, so we cut it in half because it fits perfectly. Now, something to remember, all shaker acetate comes with a backer on it. And so if you just use your thumbnail, one side is going to be super smooth and one side it will catch. So that side is the side with the backer on it. So we're going to take our tape and we're going to run it on our colored cardstock right along the edge of our die cut, as close as you can get. Now you could use the acetate that we carry for this instead of using these, and then you can cut your pieces just a little bit bigger, but that was not how we did that today. So you can see maybe that it is just barely long enough there. And just barely long enough up there. Alright, so then we are going to add our glue to the outside, back side of our neutral, our white daisy or our French vanilla. And then we are going to line up our die cut space. And it should match up around, which is why we did it the way we did it. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. Let's go ahead and add all the glue. You want to make sure you don't have glue that overhangs into your space because we don't want it grabbing the shaker bits. We'll just do both of these at the same time. So you'll be able to scratch the backer on the side that has the backer on it. And the protective piece, very staticky. And one of the things that I do is I will press the acetate into the glue. So just so you can see right here, the difference, right? It's kind of matte looking here and then shiny here. So I pressed this part already. So if I set this down and press the rest of it, then you can see that it's all shiny now. And that just means it has a good hold. All right. Glue these together. Okay. So let's do a quick color. This coloring actually really doesn't take very long. So that's really, really nice. I'm not coloring 3, I'm just going to color 2. And I'm just going to come in and I'm going to color inside the solid bricks first. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back through. I'm going to add some flicked color. So I'm not going to add it on these long ones. I'm going to try to vary it just a little bit. But it helps tie everything together, I think. All right. Now, this particular card, you can do 3 of the 4 snow globes as is. That tall one, oh, I wasn't supposed to color that part. Oops. Oh well. The tall one with the truck and the stack of presents or whatever it is just slightly too tall for the 3x4. And I promise this goes by super quick. And if you wanted to, you could take a light blue and kind of go around the jar to accentuate the corners of the jar and stuff, but I will not be doing that for the purpose of this video, so that it can be done a little bit sooner. Coloring is either super stressful or somewhat relaxing for me. It really kind of depends on how difficult it is and what else I need to get done. I did a blue door before, but now I am wondering if I should pick a different color. So I'm just adding some blue to this glass. Ooh, let's try this blue. I think that blue doors are just so striking. So now you could leave these panels as if they were going to be white or windows, or you can color them in. I'm trying to make them a slightly different color, just to show some indentation, I guess. Okay, and we are done with our coloring. So now we need to cut down our piece, right? Because they're just on scrap paper, so we need to cut them down so they will fit underneath our piece. Alright, so I'm just right now just rough lining it up. And it does not have to be perfect because these are not going to be seen unless somebody tears apart your card. And really, who is going to do that? Okay. So, next step, let's go ahead and put some of these pieces together because we need them done before we mess with the shaker bit. So, simple enough. Just add our adhesive. So I would love to know which holidays you guys celebrate. And I know some of them have already started. Some of them are next week. And I know there's a large variety. Now when you're adding your music paper, make sure you're putting it the right way. It does have an up and a down. Okay, there's one. This card is kind of quick as well, I think. Does have more steps, but it's not so bad. And you could even, if you have the information, you could even customize the coloring of the door to be the color of the recipient's door. Right, if you know that information. You may not. And I think if you do a red door, then you maybe do different bauble colors on the tree other than the red that I chose. But, I mean, you don't have to. Okay, so those are ready to go. Now, what we're going to do... I got my colored pencils on there. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to flip over to the back side and we're going to add our foam tape around. And like I said before, this one is too large and we want to keep it as close as possible to our cutout. Oh goodness. Alright, so I'm going to set this part to the side because it just tore. This tape is super sticky. And so I will use it for the sides, but I do not want to use it for the main piece. Because I don't want anything to slip out. So I am going all the way to the edge because we are going to need that anyway. And then I'm just going to use these pieces. I'll use this one here in a second. So I wouldn't normally, but I'm going to go ahead and use this because I don't know that I'm going to use a shaker that tiny. She says while making a shaker almost that tiny. Let's add it this way. Right, so that is just a bit too short, but that's okay because I'm going to come in here with this. I'm going to shove that in there. So now we're just going to fill in all the pieces like we normally would. Look how sticky this is. Oh my goodness. It actually stuck to my desk earlier. It's going to be a pain, is what that's going to be. Trying to get that all up off my desk. Okay. So there is I have some regular foam tape. Should have enough. Just going to make sure to butt all the way up against the previous piece. Just fill in the spaces. I might actually finish off this roll. Call that good. So, next up, if you have this guy handy, it might behoove you to pull it out. So we are going to pull off all the backers. Before we do anything else, we'll do this one card at a time. Just so it doesn't make any more havoc than it already wants to. Okay, we're gonna set that to the side. And we are using silver little miniature stars. You can also get gold. You can do the iridescent flowers. So I'm doing approximately a quarter teaspoon, and that actually might be too much. We'll do a little bit less on the other one. You can let me know what you think. Okay. And then we just line up. And set it down. So this is going to, I'm telling you, this stuff is super sticky. I don't think I've ever had them be that sticky before. So now you have your little shaker element. So this one goes on here. Just going to add a little bit of liquid glue to the back. Make sure we're gluing it the right way on the card. And voila. All right, one more time. Oh my gosh. All right. Peel off all the backings. Set that down. And we'll do just one. Yep. Alright. So I'm going to use cardstock instead of my hands, and hopefully that will be less staticky. Alright, so I don't know how much of a scoop that was, so we're going to do more. Find some rogue stars everywhere. We'll do one. So this is going to be, what, maybe 1.5. Maybe? So I'm going to screw this on because we know if I don't, it's going to go everywhere. And then glue this little shaker bit. And add our glue. Oh, goodness. More rogue stars. Make sure we glue this the right way. And alright. Perfect. Now, I realized that I forgot on my samples, but we have 3 sentiments on here. So we're just going to go ahead and use 2 of them. Winter Wonderland, I think will be perfect right here. Although, yep. Nope, let's do this one. Alright, and there are those cards. Fun stuff. Alright. Now we have our wow card. Dakota, will you get me a cup of water, please? Alright. Goodness. I'm not gonna mess with this. Alright, so this next card, it's a super fun card. And it looks way harder than it's gonna be. Let me grab the pieces. Alright, we are using Storybook because it's still available. Thank you very much. Okay. Storybook because it is still available. On my sample card, I did use the Vintage Blue Blend marker to color, and it took me an hour to do the 2 pieces that's on there. So, A, I will not be coloring on video. B, I did not get the other piece colored the way I wanted to, so we're going to use a different piece of paper. So, just know that it is an option that you can do. Alright. If you guys can see my desk over here right now, it's crazy. So this is the back side of our card. And this is the coloring that I was talking about. Simple coloring, just one color. But it takes a little bit of time. So this is the back side. This is the front all closed. And this is what it does open. And it sits like this. But also, if we flip it back over to the back again, we have a regular card so that you have a place to write a message. So, this is what we're going to do. Our decorations can be slightly different, and we are going to go vertical on the card right now. So the steps will all be the same, exactly the same. The only difference is going to be the direction of your paper and the direction of your embellishing. So let's get started with our pieces. So I'm actually going to bring in my Versamat so you can see the sizes of these pieces. this up so you guys can actually see. All right, so for our black, so of course, so you can do any color that you would like. For our black, we have 5 by 11. Okay, that's our starting point. Then we have 5 by 7.5. Okay, that's our back piece. And then, believe it or not, we only have 3 other pieces. So we have this piece, 4 by 5.5. 3.5 by 4.5. And 2.5 by 3.5. Okay. Pretty simple, right? Then we have our mats. These are all mats. So I'm doing white daisy. You could do, again, whatever color you wanted to do. So we do have 3 pieces that are the same size, and we actually will probably trim a smidge off of 2 of them, but we're gonna wait to do that. Currently, we have 3 pieces that are 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then all of these are 1 7/8. Okay. So we have 1 7/8 by 4 7/8. We have 1 7/8 by 3 7/8. 1 7/8 by 3 1/8. And then 1 7/8 by 2 3/8. Okay. Pretty simple. We have our paper, kind of follows that same rule. These are both the same sizes. If we cut down the white that it's going to go on, we will cut down this as well. But we currently have 2 pieces that are 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. Now, my paper is going to be tall, right? So make sure that you pay attention to the direction of your paper. If you want to do a horizontal card, make sure your paper is horizontal. Okay. Now, these, like the white pieces, one is the wrong size. How did I do that? Alright, so these are supposed to be, I know how I did that. These are all supposed to be 1 3/4. So we'll have to trim that one. Easy enough to do. Okay, so I have 1 3/4 by 4 3/4. 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. 1 3/4, it's supposed to be, by 3. And 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. So let's fix this one really quick. All right, so we have some scoring to do. So we need our black pieces, all of our black pieces. Every one of them is going to be scored. Okay, so I'm going to take this away. Bring this in. Alright, so for our 9 by 11, we're gonna have two score lines, but we're gonna flip our cardstock over because one needs to be mountain, one needs to be valley, and the direction that our bump faces is important. Hi Rhonda, sorry I missed you. Thank you. Merry Christmas. All right, so 2 inches. And then we're just going to flip this way and then do 4 inches. Yes, I had to double check my numbers. Okay, and that is it for that one. This guy, it's going to be a 1/2 inch at one end or another, right? It's cardstock, so it doesn't matter which way or which, but along the 7.5 inch side, score either, not both, either at 7 or at 1/2, whichever one makes you happy. Okay, that's that one. All right. This is our 5.5. So we have 4 by 5.5. We are going to score at 1.5, 3.5, and 5. Okay. 1.5, 3.5, and 5. And all of these scores are going to go in, so we don't need to do any flipping. All right, 3.25 by 4.5. With the 4.5 along the top, we're going to score at 1, 3, and 4. 1, 3, 4. Yes, I do always score my stuff 3 times. It's not OCD or anything, it's just less pressure makes less poke through. And I've also found, this is a Martha Stewart that I've had for forever, and it came as a 3 set. And it's wider on one end than the other. So this is the size that most of the embossing tools are when you get them, right? And this one is larger, so I had found if you do the larger one first and then go back as a final with the smaller, the creases that it creates are fabulous. All right, so this is 2.5 by 3.5. With the 3.5 at the top, we are scoring at 1/2 inch, 2.5, and 3. 1/2, 2.5, 3. Okay, and that's all our scoring. So let's do our burnishing. Right, this is super simple, easy peasy. And this card really doesn't take a ton of time to put together. It takes just over a sheet of cardstock. So you can easily do 2 of these with 2 cards with 3 pieces of cardstock, rather, is what I meant to say. So remember, the bump goes to the inside. The raised bump goes to the inside. Alright, so that is our main card base. This we're going to attach here, and these will go in here. So let's do, let's add our score tape or red line, whatever tape you're using. Super strong tape is what you want. Okay. I am using 3/8 inch, and I'm going to be, on all of these pieces, I am going to add it right next to my score line. I do not want to go over, never want to go over. Always just right up next to the score line. So each of these pieces has a single 1/2 inch side. So you're going to add tape on that side, and then you're going to add tape on the opposite end. And yes, I'm just using one of my little blocks to be my tearing spot. Right, so that is our largest piece, and if this is how we scored it. So the two outside scores have the tape on it. Now, my biggest suggestion to remember before you cut your paper, check which way is the bendy way. And I will show you momentarily what I mean by that. So, could you use a liquid glue to do this? Yes, you can. I know that most of you probably won't, so this is why I did this one. Alright. Do a quick burnish on our tape. This will help it release better, faster, easier. And you don't need to fill this in. Those two will be more than strong enough. Okay. That's it for that tape. Alright, so this is just a piece of white daisy, right? If I try bending it, right, this is what it does this way. If I move to the other side, there's much more resistance this way. So that means that this is the bendy way. That means if I'm cutting it, I want to make sure that my score lines are going to go the same way as the bendy way. Hopefully that makes sense, because your paper has grain to it, and so the grains currently are going this way. So if you fold across the grains, that's where you get the breakage in your cardstock, is going across those grains. Okay, now we are going to bring in our scoreboard again, because we're going to use that as our little cheater hack. All right. Because we're gonna line things up and make things easy for ourselves. So this is our back piece, and we're gonna have it connect on the right side. Our front piece has the Z on the left side. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to start this, and I'm going to flag it off to the side. Okay. I'm going to keep this lifted so it doesn't accidentally grab, and then I'm going to push everything, bottom piece, top piece, make sure everything is lined up along the top and left side so it's all square. And then I'm going to push that down. So that is now glued there. And I'm just going to pull this out and press. Okay, so now we have our card that looks like this. Great. Trust me when I do it in this order, I did not. The original time, this is much easier. Alright, so let's grab our white pieces so that we can double check. So technically these should fit in here, right? And have room. Right, that one works great. This one looks great. And then of course we have our inside. And that one looks great. Fabulous. I love it. All right, let's glue some pieces together. So because I already cut this down, I actually don't have an inside piece for that. So I'll have to figure that out later. I won't make you guys wait for it. All right, onto our white daisy piece. And all those 8s that Rhonda mentions that she loves gives tiny borders on our paper. So if you would like larger borders, you are welcome to do that and refigure out all the numbers. Or not. Let's go ahead and attach these to our card so they can be out of the way. See, on this one, I was going to do the unicorn side of the paper all colored in, but like I said, that took a hot minute to do. So, if you were doing it vertically, like I am this time, you want to make sure that your top is this center fold. Okay, so this is where we are at right now. So I am going to go ahead and put the white piece in here. So that it is out of the way as well. A lot of times people will say that you can just stick a piece on the back side and write your message there. And well, yes, you can. Sorry, my piece is a little bit fuzzy. I gotta give it a haircut. Well, yes, you can. You also then have to maybe adjust what you write. And I don't want to have to do that. Can I? Yes. Do I want to? No. So, this was my solution. It was just not. Now, normally, when we can use these to show. Normally, if I do this piece, I'll do it at the bottom of a card. This time, if I do that piece, I will probably do it at the top because this is where the connector is. And so there's a little lump, and that way someone will accidentally write over top of that and mess up and be upset. Okay, let's glue our pieces and mats together. Right, this goes together so quickly. So in the original, I did, as you can see, use that, currently the backside paper, and I decided I wanted to have the lines on this one, and then I cut the paper wrong the first time, so I had to cut it again. So these should all also have just very small borders. Right, so we have all of those ready to go. We have all of these, so let's pay attention to make sure we're doing this in the right way. Right, because I want my lines to match up, right, so we gotta make sure we glue them on the right way. So this largest piece will go on the front flap here. And again, make sure you're doing it the right way, if it matters. On the original sample card, it did not matter. Okay, so now you're wondering which way is the right way for these, right? Because we're building up, we're making a stack of blocks, right? So the wider piece is going to go on your fold edge, and your 1/2 inch piece that's on every one is going to be on the top or the right, the opposite of the Z fold. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So in this case, to make sure that my stack is going in the right way, there we go. So it's going to go like this. Okay, so the 1/2 inch by itself, I'm doing away from me because I am building my stack tall instead of wide. We need to make sure our colors line up. And then the last one, we're almost done with this card, guys. Like, it's crazy. I'm sure there is a way, but you could do this so it, you know, kind of looks like a cake, which it kind of does, which is kind of how I'm going with it. I am sure there is a way to somehow put a wiper on here to be able to put candles up there. All right, so how are we going to do this? So we're going to do it essentially just like this, okay? So we're going to line it up. We're going to make sure it's centered. We're going to hold it there and open our Z. And we're going to peel these off. If you do not trust yourself to not move, like my piece just moved, okay? So I'm going to peel and fold just like I did last time. And yes, I'm picking it up since it moved again a couple times. So I'm going to wrap that one around to the back. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's as centered as eyeball can be. Here and here. It's lined up. I want to make sure that it's being glued on the non-pretty side of the score line. So we have cardstock, score line, cardstock, B&T, right? Layer. So it's attaching on the no layers side, but just above that score line. So we're going to press, and again we're going to pull our release paper and give it a press again. And we're going to open it all the way because we tucked that under. And we're going to release and press. Right, so now because it's not attached, now it does this. Right, so we are going to again release some of that paper. And of course I put it to the wrong side, so this is going to be more difficult. But possible, but you can see it's in there. Make sure it folds and then press. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to center it. This time I think I'm just going to go ahead and peel off both pieces. Right, I know it moved, that's okay. So we're just going to center that. And just close. Right, we don't have to make it more difficult. So then we're going to peel this. If you don't trust yourself on this, go ahead and fold it, but fold it this way. Okay. Give it a little press. And press again. And last but not least, I'm going to go ahead with that, release that paper again. Center and drop. Oh my gosh, I just did the wrong one. I was thinking to myself that looked kind of funny. Okay. Let's see. I think this is salvageable. I'll add some liquid glue right there. But it's only the part that's actually attached that's really bent any at all. So let's try this again. Alright, I'll line this up for real this time. Just a tiny bit of liquid glass in here. Actually, before I do that, let's color this. Just in case I don't get it lined up just right. And it doesn't look terribly wonky. Over. Make sure everything is pressed down and close. And then, because I have that liquid glue, I'm going to open that up pretty quickly to make sure I don't glue it closed. Alright. And this is our card so far. And essentially, we're done. Essentially. We're going to put on some decoration, but that is our card. So let's bring in some prettiness. What should we do? I think a rainbow. Of course, the unicorn. And then let's do a crown. We do drama queen, but that just doesn't seem to quite fit. So maybe Love You Forever and maybe some flowers. Okay. So I'm thinking maybe some flowers right there. A unicorn here. something else down here. Maybe we could do a feather, but that just, I don't know. Maybe let's just do these 3 little things here. Okay. Now, clearly, we can't just close this and be done because then it would stick closed. So we need to add some embossing powder. Alright, so this is clearly where I colored earlier. Why is everything extra sticky? So we're just going to add some powder on the parts that were sticking up, and then we're going to burnish it. And that is a very important part. And that is important so that it stays there. That powder will stay there. Alright, let's do the flowers next. The flowers don't need a whole lot because it's only just those 2 little edges that stick out. There's a ton of powder still here on this paper, so I'm just picking it up with the sticker. Alright, so we need the outside of the clouds and the top of the rainbow. So, I know a lot of people don't burnish their powder and they don't think they need to, and that's fine. I have found that if you do not burnish the powder in, it can become sticky again. And the whole point of the powder is to make sure that it doesn't become sticky again. That is our wild card. So we have 1 vertical and 1 horizontal. I'm going to set them up both like this so you can see from the top view. And this one you can flatten out a little bit more. clearly not currently, but so that is our top view, and this is our folded view, and then this is our open view. So this is our wow card. Thank you, Rhonda. These are our shaker cards. And then these are our two for cards. So we have a lot of cards today, and just over 2 hours. Not bad. Not bad for 12, 8, 10 cards. 12. Gosh. All right. So I appreciate you guys showing up every Thursday, whether it's live or the replay. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't yet, if you could give me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it, and it helps me get out in front of people, and the more crafters that join us, the more stuff I can show you guys, and I can grow and expand and do other things for you guys as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah if you're already celebrating that. Yule, I believe, is tonight, possibly tomorrow night. And I know that there are so many more holidays out there that I know nothing about. So if you happen to celebrate one of those, I hope it is everything that you wish for. And the same for if you celebrate any of the ones that I listed as well. I hope that they are everything that you wish for. They bring you peace and happiness, like Rhonda so eloquently stated, and that everything is wonderful. So I will see you guys one more time this year. Next Thursday, I will have 3 more cards for you, and that will wrap up the year. Believe it or not, it's crazy. So thank you again for showing up for me. I really do truly appreciate that. You guys have a great evening and rest of your week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.